Appendix 1. Glossary. This information is presented as a table with 2 columns, a header row, and 90 rows of data. The 2 columns are headed Term or Legislation and Definition or Explanation. The first row, Term or Legislation, Access 2020 Disability Strategy. Definition or Explanation, the Electoral Commission's Disability Strategy. It describes how barriers disabled people may face when enrolling and voting will be identified and reduced to allow full participation in the electoral process. Term or Legislation, Accessibility Charter. Definition or Explanation, the government's initiative to ensure communication services and information provided by state sector agencies are available to everyone. See Leading the Way in Accessible Information below. Term or Legislation, Accident Compensation Corporation, ACC. Definition or Explanation, New Zealanders are covered by a no-fault scheme if they have been injured in an accident. The cover provided helps pay for the cost of recovery and is administered by the Accident Compensation Corporation, a government agency. Ashley treatment. Controversial treatment in which a disabled child's growth is suspended and other medical procedures are undertaken to aid the provision of care and prevent perceived discomfort in a child's future adult life. Anzac Dawn Service. Anzac, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps Day, commemorates all Australian and New Zealand servicemen and women who have served and died in wars, conflicts and peacekeeping operations. The Dawn Service is held throughout Australia and New Zealand on Anzac Day, 25th April, in remembrance. Arts Access Aotearoa focuses on supporting disabled people to create and participate in art of all kinds, encouraging performing arts companies, venues, producers and artists to increase their accessibility, and facilitating arts-based rehabilitative projects and programs in prisons. Auckland Council, Local Government Council, New Zealand's largest. Building Act 2004 and Building Code. All building work in New Zealand must comply with the Building Code. The Building Code is contained in regulations under the Building Act 2004. The Act governs building work in New Zealand. CCS Disability Action. CCS Disability Action is a nationwide non-governmental organisation, NGO, providing support, advocacy and information for disabled people. Code of Health and Disability Services Consumers' Rights sets out the rights that New Zealanders have when using a health or disability service. These are called the Code of Health and Disability Services Consumers' Rights, or the Code. Code of Professional Responsibility and Standards for the Teaching Profession sets out standards for ethical behaviour expected of every teacher in New Zealand. Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, CESCR, United Nations Committee overseeing the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, ICESCR. Concluding observations are assessments of the implementation of human rights treaties by a state issued by the respective treaty bodies after their examination of the state reports. They also use additional information, for example, from national or international non-governmental organisations, also referred to as concluding comments. Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, CRPD. See United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. See United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. DIDRR, Disability Inclusive Disaster Risk Reduction. Disability Action Plan provides a cross-government mechanism to progress action on the implementation of the disability strategy. The renewed 2019 to 2023 plan updates the previous Disability Action Plan in consultation with the New Zealand disability community, aligning its objectives with the Disability Committee's list of issues. Disability Committee. The Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, referred to as the Disability Committee in this report, is the body of independent experts which monitors implementation of the Disability Convention by the states parties in the United Nations. Disability Employment Forum, a collaboration between disabled people's organisations, employment support services and peak bodies. Disability Rights Commissioner. The position of Disability Rights Commissioner was created by an amendment to the Human Rights Act 1993. Disabled Persons Organisations, DPOs. Representative organisations of disabled people and which are recognised by Article 4.3 of the Disability Convention. District Health Boards, DHBs, responsible for providing or funding the provision of most health services in their respective districts. Electoral Commission, the agency responsible for all areas of electoral administration in New Zealand. Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder, FASD, the umbrella term for a range of disorders caused by alcohol intake during pregnancy. These disorders can be mild or severe and can cause a range of impairments, also referred to as fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, GANHRI, formerly known as the International Coordinating Committee of National Human Rights Institutions, sometimes shortened to the International Coordinating Committee, ICC, GANHRI is a global network of national human rights institutions, NHRIs. Hauātanga, Government Inquiry into Mental Health and Addiction. Harmful Digital Communications Act 2015, an act of Parliament to deter, prevent and mitigate harm caused to individuals by digital communications and to provide victims of harmful digital communications with a quick and efficient means of redress. Health and Disability Commissioner, HDC, an independent watchdog agency whose role is to promote and protect the rights of consumers as set out in the Code of Health and Disability Services Consumers' Rights. This includes resolving complaints in a fair, timely and effective way. Health, Quality and Safety Commission, a Crown entity working with clinicians, providers and consumers to improve health and disability support services. Heritage New Zealand, Hauātanga, the leading national historic heritage agency. Hui, a meeting or gathering of people. Household Labour Force Survey, HLFS. This survey provides data on employment and unemployment in NZ, undertaken by Statistics NZ. Household Surveys, undertaken by Statistics NZ to collect information throughout the country on New Zealanders' well-being, employment, status, economic status, etc. Human Rights Act 1993 protects people in NZ from discrimination in a number of areas of life, including on the ground of disability. Human Rights Commission, HRC, the National Human Rights Institution for New Zealand, formed in 1977, it functions under the mandate of the Human Rights Act 1993. Human Rights Review Tribunal, HRRT, a remedial body, it can hear claims relating to breaches of the Human Rights Act 1993, Privacy Act 1993, and Health and Disability Commissioner Act 1994. It can award compensatory damages for losses suffered. Awards are typically for injury to feelings, humiliation, and loss of dignity. IHC Foundation works to ensure people with intellectual disability are valued and active members of their communities. Independent Monitoring Mechanism, IMM, the mechanism to monitor the Disability Convention, CRPD. In New Zealand, the IMM is made up of the Human Rights Commission, Office of the Ombudsman, and the Disabled People's Organisations Coalition. Institute of Judicial Studies, IJS, professional development arm of the New Zealand judiciary, which provides education programs and resources. Kiwi Build Homes, a government initiative to tackle the housing crisis due to lack of stock and affordability. It is working with developers to build high-quality homes for eligible New Zealanders in the areas that most need them. Law Commission reviews New Zealand law and makes recommendations to government to improve the law. Law Foundation. Provides grants for legal research, public education on legal matters and legal training. Lead Toolkit for Employing Disabled People. A resource for state sector leaders, managers and human resource professionals to create an inclusive and welcoming environment for disabled people. Leading the Way in Accessible Information. An accessibility guide published by the Ministry of Social Development for writers, communicators and designers, including web and IT tool designers, production houses and procured services to the public sector, a key part of the Accessibility Charter. LGBTQIA+, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, plus. List of issues. Questions posed by the Disability Committee on what it wants the government to report back on. Mana Whaikaha, prototype of the transformed disability support system launched and trialled in mid-central New Zealand in October 2018. Minister of Justice, currently the Honourable Andrew Little. Ministry for Business, Innovation and Enterprise, plays a central role in shaping and delivering a strong New Zealand economy. Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, leads New Zealand's Housing and Urban Development Work Programme. Ministry of Social Development, helping to build successful individuals and, in turn, build strong, healthy families and communities. It does this by providing employment, income support and superannuation services, funding to community service providers, social policy and advice to government, student allowances and loans, and social housing. Minister for Social Development, currently the Honourable Carmel Sepuloni. Nationwide Health and Disability Advocacy Service, free nationwide advocacy service operating independently from all health and disability service providers and agencies. New Zealand Aid Programme, delivers New Zealand's official support for developing countries with a particular focus on the Pacific Islands region. New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, NZBORA, sets out the rights and fundamental freedoms of anyone subject to New Zealand law as a Bill of Rights. New Zealand Disability Strategy will guide the work of government agencies on disability issues from 2016 to 2026. It can also be used by individuals or organisations wanting to learn more about and make the best decisions on things important to disabled people. New Zealand Film Commission, promoting and supporting the screen industry in New Zealand. New Zealand Sign Language, NZSL, one of the 3 official languages of New Zealand. Non-governmental organisation, NGO, non-governmental organisation. Office of Disability Issues, ODI, key agency in government on disability issues, working toward a vision of New Zealand being a non-disabling society. NZ On Air provides operating funding to a number of targeted platforms and services that provide important public media content. These include Access Radio, Pacific and Student Radio, and Disability Access Services. NZS 4121-2001, Design Standard for Access. It provides well-integrated and workable solutions for designing buildings and facilities that can be accessed and used by people with disabilities. Ombudsman. An ombudsman's role includes investigating the administrative conduct of public sector agencies, reviewing their decisions relating to requests for official information, acting as a national preventive mechanism under the Crimes of Torture Act 1989, recommending remedial action be taken where agencies have acted unfairly, acting as an appropriate authority under the Protected Disclosures Act 2000, and providing advice and guidance relating to all of the above. Orangatamariki, Ministry for Children, government agency charged with guarding children and young people. Privacy Act 1993 controls how agencies collect, use, disclose, store and give access to personal information. Personal information is information held about a living person. Privacy Commissioner, considers complaints under the Privacy Act 1993 about breaches of privacy and access to personal information, also provides guidance on privacy rights. Protection of Personal and Property Rights Act 1988 provides mechanisms for decision-making on behalf of people who lack capacity to make decisions for themselves. Provincial Growth Fund. The government has allocated $3 billion over a 3-year term to invest in regional economic development through this fund. Rehabilitation International, a global organization and network working to empower disabled people and provide solutions toward achieving a more inclusive society. Social Security Act 2018 repealed previous pertinent acts to update New Zealand's Social Security program. State Party, States Parties, governments that have signed a human rights treaty. State Services Commission, the Central Public Service Department of New Zealand charged with overseeing, managing and improving the performance of the state sector and its organisations. Statistics New Zealand, also known as Stats NZ, this New Zealand public service agency collects statistics related to the economy, population and society of New Zealand. Tamariki, children. Tangata Whaikaha, disabled people. Te Reo Māori, the first language and an official language of New Zealand. Te Tiriti o Waitangi, Treaty of Waitangi, New Zealand's founding document signed on 6 February 1840. It is an agreement in Māori and English made between the British Crown and about 540 Māori rangatira, or chiefs. Treaty of Waitangi. See Te Tiriti o Waitangi above. United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, UNCRPD, also referred to as the CRPD, UNCRPD, and the Disability Convention. Universal Design for Learning, UDL, a research-based framework that helps teachers plan learning to meet the diverse needs of all students. Voice of the Young and Care Experienced, Voice, Whakarongo Mai, an independent service that advocates for the approach that voices of children and young people in care need to be kept at the centre of all decisions made about them. Waitangi Tribunal is charged with investigating and making recommendations on claims brought by Māori relating to actions or omissions of the Crown, largely in the period since 1840, that breach the promises made in the Treaty of Waitangi. See Te Tiriti o Waitangi above. Welfare Expert Advisory Group, WEAG, established by the Minister for Social Development to undertake a review of New Zealand's social welfare system. Whakamana Tangata, Restoring Dignity to Social Security in New Zealand. Published in 2019 by the Welfare Expert Advisory Group, WEAG, this report reviews the New Zealand welfare system, excluding New Zealand superannuation, the Veterans' Pension and War Pensions, and the Student Support System. Whānau, Family. World Blind Union, WBU. Global organization representing the estimated 253 million people worldwide who are blind or partially sighted. YWCA supports young women's leadership, safe spaces, sexuality and health, and economic independence in New Zealand.